One, and we are live. Pretty sure. There we go. Now we're live. Okay. Waiting for this chat bubble to load. These people are yelling. Okay. Unnecessary yelling is going on outside of my house, so hopefully you guys can't hear that. But if you can, I apologize. Okay. Alright, so Mondeep is not here today. He's not gonna be here for a couple episodes, because personal reasons. Reasons I'm not sure if he wants me to share, so I will not. But Mondeep will not be here for a few episodes, so it'll be just me for the next few episodes. I'm not sure when he will be back, but he will be soon. But for now, it is just me taking over. So yeah, not really anyone to debate with, but maybe next episode I can get one of my buddies, probably Ethan, who took over the podcast for me yesterday. Props to him. I thank you for that again. I thanked him a lot yesterday after and before he did the podcast. My dog's going crazy, but yeah. So thank you, Ethan, for doing that. That podcast is up that Ethan did on my IGTV. So go ahead and watch that. And yeah, so props to Ethan. I might have him back on the show. We're probably going to have him as a guest closer to the Poirier-McGregor fight, because he is a big MMA guy. If you guys watched the podcast yesterday, that you guys would know that, he has a good knowledge of MMA. So anyway, right now what I'm going to be talking about is something controversial that happened. Not really sports related, but the sports world did react to it. So, a lot of you guys know what I'm talking about. The raid, or whatever you want to call it, in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. So, I'm as the owner and the host of this show, I can't go too deep, and it's nobody telling me that I can't. I'm making a rule for myself. I tell this, to Mondeep and stuff, not to get too deep into this stuff, and because everyone has their opinions, and at the end of the day, this is a sports show. So, and we this is what we do. We talk about sports, but this is something that we've talked about, the Black Lives Matter movement. We've talked about stuff that is going wrong, stuff that is going around, the COVID, the Black Lives Matter protests. All of this we've talked about on the show because it has affected the sports world, and especially because the sports world has reacted to this. I had to bring it up, and I had to talk about it today. It's insane that this is happening. Like I said, I can't say too much, and I'm not gonna really spread my opinion on this. The only thing I'm gonna say is that I'm pretty sure I'm like everyone else, just wanting peace, just wanting peace everywhere, right? And it's probably far from gonna happen, but it's what we need, it's what we want, and by the way of looking at it, especially from the events of yesterday, it does not look that way. But that's all I'm really gonna say and talk about on this specific situation. It is a sad situation. It is something that I had to address because it did affect the sports world. You saw those players take a knee, all of those players in the NBA. I probably expect the NFL to do the same thing before their games during the national anthem, before the wild card games this Saturday and Sunday. So it's it's crazy what's happening, but just like everyone has their opinions on this specific situation. Everyone has their opinions on everything political, but that is not something I'm going to get into on this show because, like I said, this is a sports debate show. We talk about sports, but it has affected the sports world because world reacted to this. Draymond Green had a very, very, very good reaction, and I had to agree with some of the things that Draymond Green said because it's like I said, it's crazy what's happening, right? What everyone wants, and I know everyone has a different opinion, but like I mentioned, what everybody wants, and I know everybody can agree with this, is world peace. We just want peace, right, everywhere, right? So I'm gonna move on now from this topic before I say something that I shouldn't say. So yeah, it's just crazy what's happening, and it's affecting the sports world. I've seen a lot of ESPN reporters, talk deep into this and talk about their opinions. I'd rather not do that on this show. I'd rather keep this strictly sports, and that's our plan, to keep this strictly sports. We're never gonna turn this into like a political show or anything like that. But it's just something we had to talk about, especially because it affected the sports world. If it affects the sports world, it's something we're kind of required to talk about because it is a sports show. Yeah, moving on to some more some positive stuff. Team that you guys know I don't really like, especially their fans. The Cowboys. So the Cowboys have a situation with Dak Prescott and Jerry Jones. So whether Dak Prescott wants to leave or whether he wants to stay, should the Cowboys give Dak Prescott what he wants, whatever it is, should they give it to him? And my answer is yes. Whatever the guy wants, give it to him, because you have paid this guy a lot of money, and I think he deserves a bit more money. The guy got injured. He didn't have the time. He didn't have the season. He didn't have the ability to prove himself this season because of that grueling injury he got mid-season. And unfortunately, this is not the only injury I'm going to be talking about today. But Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. And like I said, I have too much respect for him to be playing for the Cowboys. I can't stand Cowboy fans. You guys know that. But and it's nothing against the organization. The organization's fine. It's just their fans. But Dak Prescott, whether he wants to stay or whether he wants to leave, give the guy what he wants. And I know he has a few more years left on the contract because I think he recently signed an extension to stay with the Cowboys. And that's his decision. But whatever, if he elects to leave, if he requires a trade, if he demands a trade rather, you should give it to him. Give the guy what he wants because he's given his heart and soul to this team. He's this injury he got, and he's still deciding to come back to this team. The disappointment that this team is, and he's still deciding to come back to this team every single year. So if he decides he finally has had enough and he wants to leave, give the guy what he wants. Period. There's no if and buts about it. He has given his all to it. And the way Jerry Jones sometimes disrespects him, I think that Dak Prescott should leave because it is completely inappropriate the way that Jerry Jones talks about his quarterback sometimes. That is your star quarterback. Imagine Ben DiNucci or Andy Dalton becoming your starting quarterback. No disrespect to them. They're in the NFL for a reason, but they are no Dak Prescott. They're no Dak Prescott. Because this year, the way Carson Wentz played for the Eagles, if Dak Prescott hadn't got injured, Dak Prescott probably would have had a better season than Carson Wentz, the way that Carson Wentz played. So, I say give the guy what he wants. If he wants to get out of Dallas, and I wouldn't blame him if he did, I would have requested a trade a long time ago if I'm Dak Prescott. But if I'm him and he wants to leave, let him leave. Let him do what he wants. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. After that, Jerry Jones, he had some more comments about Dak Prescott too. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he did have some comments about him. So Now this here is something Mandeep and I were supposed to do together, but obviously Mandeep cannot come to the podcast. But here's our power rankings for the NBA. So our top 5 teams. I do this every week after an NFL week, but now we were supposed to start this off with me and Mandeep doing it together, but obviously, like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, he won't be here for a few episodes. But I'm going to be doing my top 5, and Mandeep's not watching, but he will hear what my top 5 is. So after week 2, the list is mobile, remember this. I might not do this every week. I might start doing it back when Mandeep comes back, but for now, I'll just do it here. So after week 2 of the NBA, my top 5 teams. Number 5, I got the Brooklyn Nets because I was going to have, another team in there, but like the Phoenix Suns, but, the Nets have been improving rapidly. Even without KD playing the last game, they still won. They still had a dominant game. Kyrie Irving has been averaging, 25. KD, I told you guys before the season started, he can average 25 to 27 in his sleep. He's averaging 28 right now. And I told you guys that he's going to be a top MVP candidate by the end of the season. And I still think that the way he's playing out of his mind. His Achilles looks more healthy than it was before he got injured. He had so much time to recover, and this team all went healthy. I know losing Spencer Dinwiddie was a big shot, but that still doesn't take away. It takes away a bit of their depth, but not too much because you've still got guys like Joe Harris, DeAndre Jordan, Karis LeVert, who I just forgot to mention, but I just mentioned him now, who has been balling, right? The TLC. I'm not sure what his full name is, but I know they call him TLC. He's balling right now. He had a few big shots in their last game. So many other guys. This team has a deep team, right? Landry Shamet is, he's okay. But I think that the Brooklyn Nets are a top 5 team in the NBA right now. And I think they'll probably be in this top 5 for, the rest of the season. Number 4, I got the Philadelphia 76ers because they are playing out of their mind right now. They got off to a way better start than I expected them to. I'm not saying that I didn't expect the Philadelphia 76ers to be good because I'm a guy that says Ben Simmons is the LeBron James 2.0 if he acquires a jump shot. Joel Embiid is one of the best centers in the NBA. There's no doubt about it right now. So with those two together, I think Ben Simmons needs to acquire a jump shot, and he'll be good. He'll be a LeBron James 2.0 without a doubt. That's how talented this kid is. Joel Embiid is a very talented guy. I think he needs to post up more, and I think the acquiry of Seth Curry, he's a Curry diamond. He if you have the name Curry in your name, you could shoot. Danny Green, he's a 3-point shooter, even though he had a bad season last year with the Lakers. I think with Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, these guys, this is a good team. Tobias Harris also is there as well, who can also ball. So this team is a really good all-around team. They've all been playing really good. When Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid had an off game a couple games ago, Tobias Harris was there to back him up along with Seth Curry and Danny Green. Also, they have Dwight Howard too, who hasn't really been scoring that much points, but you're not going to take an easy layup against Dwight Howard. So that is a deadly, front court with Dwight Howard and Joel Embiid. So I got the 76ers at number 4. Number 3, I got the Bucks. I say number 3 because, you'll find out when I mention the 2 other teams, but they're playing really good too, and I expected them to. I expect, obviously, they're going to make the playoffs. I think the number 1 seed this year, though, is going to be the Brooklyn Nets. Even though they're getting off to a slow start, I think they'll pick up their momentum and they'll, get a momentum going, and they'll eventually get that first seed because I believe they're 4-4 right now. But the Bucks are playing very well right now. They are playing fantastic basketball. Giannis is playing fantastic basketball, and that's no surprise to me at this point. He's a 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. The acquiry of Drew Holiday was big for them because Drew Holiday is a guy who can hit a shot when he needs to. He's not a consistent 3-point shooter, but when you need him to hit that shot, he will hit it. He's a good defender. He's defended the top NBA, point guards. He's defended like top NBA players, so he is there for that as well. So I think the Bucks are number 3 team. Dante DiVincenzo, who I thought he didn't play there anymore, but apparently he does. Dante DiVincenzo is a good young kid. All these guys. Chris Middleton is there too, but we need to see Giannis and Chris Middleton show up in the playoffs. That is what we need to see from the Bucks. We have no questions about them when it comes to the regular season. They always have the best record in the regular season, but when it comes to playoff time, they choke. So we need to see more from this team when come playoff time, because obviously everybody expects them to make the playoffs. But right now, my main focus for Giannis and the Bucks is to get to the playoffs and show up. But they're a top 3 team in the NBA right now, without a doubt. Number 2, I got the Clippers because Paul George is why. I mean, Kawhi Leonard's been hooping too, but Paul George, I told you guys that this guy had a lot to prove coming into this season after having a bad playoff run. You guys were calling him Pandemic P. I was too, I'm not going to lie. You guys were calling him Pandemic P, PG 30%, Way Off P, all these names. I came up with a new name when he passed the ball to nobody, Poor Pass P. But he has been balling. He had a 39-point game against the Lakers on opening night, and as soon as that happened, I'm like, oh my goodness, this guy's he's gonna go off this season. He's gonna be an MVP candidate, and I still think that. This league right now is very, very competitive. You have guys dropping high numbers. I know people thought that in the bubble that people were getting lucky, that it was easy to score in the bubble. I'm like, I didn't think so. I wasn't one of those who thought it was easy to score in the bubble, because it's not easy to score, period, right? But now you guys are seeing that they're in their arenas and they're scoring massive numbers, and maybe you just got to take in that the NBA is just talented, full of talented people. So Paul George, back to him, along with Kawhi Leonard, two of the best two-way players, or one of the two best two-way players on one team. I thought they were going to be a championship. I thought they were going to reach Western Conference Finals last year. But they didn't. They got beat by the Denver Nuggets, sorry. And this year, I think if there's a year that the Clippers need to win the championship, it's this year. I don't think they'll beat the Lakers in the playoffs, but all I'm saying is this is their final chance. I don't see them, if they don't win it this year, I don't see them winning it at all. And I don't have them winning it all this year. I have the Lakers winning it all, but winning it all. That's who I have winning it all, is the Lakers. But this is the Clippers' last chance. But yeah, I got the Clippers at number 2 because Paul George has been taking this team. Kawhi Leonard got elbowed in the face. I'll give him that excuse. But also he's been using load management a bit. But he has been playing. But Paul George has also been playing. So Clippers are number 2. But number 1, you already know who I have. It's the Los Angeles Lakers, because they have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, 2 top 5 players on one team. And not only that, they have been going off. They beat the Spurs back-to-back. They beat the Grizzlies back-to-back. They're on a 4-game winning streak. I have them beating the Spurs tonight. So I think they can go on a 5-game winning streak. And that's just another reason to have them in your top 5. And especially at number 1. I get if you put them at number 2. But they're a top 2 team in the NBA right now. There's no getting around that. So the Clippers are number 2, Lakers number 1, Nets number 5, 4 76ers, Bucks number 3, Clippers number 2, Lakers number 1. That is my top 5. I'm not sure what Money's was because he won't be here for a couple episodes. Like I said, I might not do this list again until Monday comes back, and because it was his idea to do this. I usually do this every week after an NFL week, but once the NFL starts back next season, I'll continue to do that because I do it every year. But on to the next topic. We don't have a lot of topics today, but I spend quite a bit of time talking about them. So next topic is not a topic I like to talk about. It's another torn ACL. Markelle Fultz, who has been going off this season, who has been hooping this season, just tore his ACL last night. And it's tough to hear, man. It's really tough to hear because a lot of you guys were calling him a bust when he came into the NBA because he was projected to be this, really talented kid. So, and then he came into the league. He didn't know how to shoot properly. He didn't get used to it. Now he's on the Orlando Magic, and he is balling, especially this season. He got off slow last season, but this season he is balling, and he gets injured. And you just got to feel bad for the guy because it's terrible what's happened to Markelle Fultz because he's been balling right now. He's been balling really good. I think he's averaging 15 to 20 points right now. That's his career high average. So you gotta feel bad for Markelle Fultz. Torn ACL. As soon as he went down, I knew something was wrong. I was like, oh man, not this. Right, so you have to feel bad for him. I feel bad for him. I never, want somebody to get injured like that. Especially the love I have for watching basketball. So, yeah, I feel bad for Markelle Fultz. I wish him a speedy recovery, and I hope he's back on the court very, very soon. But, I hope he takes his time, just getting better, so he can come back even better next season. So, final question of the day. What should the Magic be doing for this NBA year? Monday brought that question. But I get the question. So, losing Markelle Fultz was big because he was hooping for you guys. I'm not sure if the Magic can make the playoffs this year. They probably can squeeze in. I think they can contend for a playoff game. But I can't believe I'm saying this. Guys, the New York Knicks might make the playoffs this year. They just might make the playoffs this year. And it's crazy. Because they are going off. Julius Randle is averaging about 20 to 25 points per game. RJ Barrett is going off. That duo just there in itself is crazy. Obi Toppin is a very athletic guy. Austin Rivers, he's a bit of a veteran. He can lead these young guys. So, and I liked that because I knew the New York Knicks needed a guard. Right? And, I'm not a Knicks fan, but, I know people in New York, right? I like New York. I like Brooklyn, obviously because KD and all that. I like the Knicks though, but I'm not a fan. I'm a Lakers fan. I'm a Lakers fan, thick and through. But so the Knicks, they have a chance to make the playoffs or contend for a play-in game at least. I said the other podcast, a couple podcasts ago, they have a chance to contend for a play-in game, and I think they will, and I think they can possibly squeeze into the playoffs. And I know you guys say the West is more competitive than the East, and there's no getting around that. But the East does have competition. I know the Raptors have gotten off to a terrible start, and maybe it's looking like the Raptors might not make the playoffs, but they always come back. They always have fight in them. They always have heart. So I think that the Raptors, they possibly can squeeze in as well because they are not looking good right now. But I think the Magic, they can still make the playoffs. Nikola Vucevic is a very good center. A good center. You have other guys, Aaron Gordon, who hasn't been showing up as much, but I think he will throughout the season, especially after the All-Star break. And, you have other good pieces on there, too. So, I think the Magic could still make the playoffs, even because the East isn't that competitive. I know I just said it is a bit, not as much as the West, though. If these guys were playing in the West, I would say hell no to making the playoffs. But they're in the Eastern Conference, so I think they still have a chance to make the playoffs, even with Markelle Fultz out. And that was a big hit. Markelle Fultz tearing his ACL, like I just mentioned. But I think they possibly still can. And they lost DJ Augustine as well. But, Evan Fournier is good. He can ball, right? A lot of these guys on the Magic can, ball. They're veterans, young guys. So if they all come together, I think they can make the playoffs. But don't sleep on the New York Knicks this season. I can't believe I'm saying that again. But the Knicks can make the playoffs. So this was a very short podcast, 25 minutes. Because, usually it's long. I didn't even have a lot of topics today either. But that's fine. Tomorrow is Fan Friday. I know we haven't done Fan Friday in a while. I apologize for that. But tomorrow is Fan Friday. And I will be, putting a poll on my story so you guys can ask questions. But yeah, and I'll answer them tomorrow on the podcast. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for today. Hope you guys enjoy this podcast, this 25-minute podcast. It's usually longer, especially because Mudeep's here. I say that every time, I do one by myself. But hope maybe tomorrow I get maybe Ethan back on, or maybe I'll get somebody else back on. If not, then I'll be here by myself again. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, go subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's in my link in bio. And yeah, be here back tomorrow for the last podcast of the week. Because it is Thursday. Yeah, it is Thursday. So yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm out.